If you enjoy listening to inspirational stories from people just like us, facing the fear and doing it anyway, then you're in the right place. My name is Claire Hill, and this is the No Rest for the Vivid podcast. Hello, Dan.
Good evening.
Hello. Are you all right?
Yeah, a bit tired.
Yeah. It's a bit weird because you're sitting right next to me. Most of the time everyone's on Zoom. So this is episode 15 and the last episode before Christmas. I'm not going to do a normal intro because, well, we're just going to go straight into this episode. But what do I need? Oh yeah, Vivid Wire. There's a giveaway being hosted to try and get me to 18,000 followers. If you fancy getting involved, quite a big prize involved. And so yeah, I've got my husband Dan here tonight.
Hello.
Well, obviously you might be listening to it at a different time of the day, but we're recording it. We've just put at bedtime, just put our baby to bed. So I've got you here because you're a very interesting man, I think. And a part of it is how we met. You work with, you tell people, who are you? Where'd you come from? What do you do?
Well, I come from the same place as you do.
United Kingdom.
United Kingdom.
You didn't grow up here though, did you?
No. So I was brought up in Kano in Nigeria predominantly with my mum, dad and my brother. Coming backwards and forwards, but the majority of the time was spent in Kano. And then when I came back with my brother and my mum, my dad carried on working there, and I went to school in Walsall in the West Midlands. And then when I was about 18-ish, I came to Medway. Did education, media and architectural model making, and then left that, ran a bar for a short period of time.
I think quite a lot of people know about that bar.
Yeah.
That listen, Tap and Tin.
Yeah, okay. That's a punch there.
Yes, it was a good time though when you ran that.
Yeah, it was pretty wild. Did that for, I think it was about 3 years, maybe 4. I think it was 4. And then went to work for a foster care organisation that had an education otherwise program. So essentially schools for children in foster care that have been excluded from mainstream, and left that and spent 15 years in the homeless sector with supported accommodation, hostels, and yeah, now I work in local authority housing.
Yeah.
For the last couple of years.
You have to wear like a shirt and proper trousers now, don't you?
For the first time in my life.
Yeah. So we met when I was working with homeless families, and you were working with homeless individuals. You didn't do families, did you?
No.
Yeah, at that place. And we met our eyes met across a big table when everyone was getting made redundant. And the rest is history, babe, isn't it?
It is history.
Well, everyone, we had to keep our relationship secret first, didn't we? Because of people stirring things.
Yeah, it wouldn't have been very good.
No, it wouldn't, not in the well. And then it got caught out. We got caught, didn't we?
Oh, we did.
No, we weren't doing anything wrong. No, but somebody saw us shopping, and then they told everyone that we were together.
Yeah, shocking. It's really seedy.
But so I've just finished a master's degree, for anyone that doesn't know, and I ended up focusing on trauma-informed education because he's working education, because Dan became an expert in trauma-informed practice. Is that what it is? What do you term the word?
I think experts are too much of a broad statement.
I think you're an expert.
Oh, I appreciate that.
Thanks.
But I'm not when it comes down to the size of the issue and the amount of work that's been put into the research. But essentially, it's seeing the work that you do within sectors that work with people with vulnerabilities, in my case, homelessness. Seeing those people with through a trauma lens, so having knowledge of the traumatic events that can lead to people's homelessness, and applying trauma-informed approaches and developing psychologically informed environments so that we look after our staff, can best look after the people that we're working with, and to prevent re-traumatization and vicarious trauma, but ultimately the traumatization of staff through the work that they do.
So if you don't know anything about trauma, so we're quite passionate about it because it's taken into consideration somebody's background, what's happened to them, potentially in childhood or later in life, that can cause impact on how they perceive a situation, how they then react to a situation. And a lot of the time, though that might be a really sweeping term, a lot of the time people who don't understand the effects of trauma will assume that they are, say for example, obviously from my point of view, if a child has gone through trauma and they're at school, they may be reacting in a different way in a classroom. And for you, for adults, it's like,
well, yeah, it's much the same. It's essentially the fight, flight, or freeze responses that are the go-to responses as a result of developmental traumas or adverse childhood experiences or significant traumas. But ultimately, those traumas having an effect on an individual, having a mind and processes to be able to react proportionally and in ways, putting in simple terms, in ways that those that have not had those experiences considered the norm. So a positive situation, a beneficial situation, a good thing can happen to somebody, but the mind is trained to still the go-to is one of those responses, fight, flight, or freeze. But it manifests in people as somebody who doesn't care. They're not turning up. They've run off. They're aggressive. They're not engaged.
Yeah.
But these responses are as an effect of the trauma that somebody has gone through. Adverse childhood experiences can affect the developing brain.
So one of the things that you train other services on is creating a trauma-informed environment. How could you adapt an environment to be less triggering for people that have gone through trauma? Is there a way?
I mean, primarily it comes down to staff awareness. Staff or volunteers need to be aware of the impact of their own behaviours, be able to health check before they start, a consultation or an activity in the workplace. If you're not in a healthy space in your own mind when you step into those environments, you're not prepared for ultimately the inevitable at some point. When you're working with what is largely a traumatized client group, if you are not in a healthy space, you are going to be affected by what you might feel, hear, or see, but also that you might inadvertently end up causing more trauma to the individual that you're working with by not reacting in a positive way, by overreacting, by subtle adjustments in your tone, giving the impression that the matter that is very important to the person that you're working with isn't that important. So yeah, health checking and staff awareness is fundamentally very important. And you don't have to be trained psychiatrist, trained psychotherapist to have that skill base. You just need to be prepared, have your own coping mechanisms, have a supportive structure within which you work to allow you to reflect on difficult situations.
So so everybody that listens, they might not be working in homeless services, but when you were saying that, it just made me think about when Jackson in the morning is been a 3-year-old, and I might not have the right capacity to deal with his behaviour in a way. When you were saying about a health check, it's important, I think, even if you're not working with people that have gone through trauma, to have like an ability to look at, like, be in the right frame of mind to deal with different situations. And then obviously it's more important for people that are working with people that might have gone through trauma. But another thing that I was thinking is that when I did my training for the school as part of my master's degree, because teachers as well, some teachers have got so much, well, most teachers have got so much workload that when they have a child that comes in that might have experienced trauma, they may not be able to assess the situation in the most, it's like you want to sort of slow everything down, don't you? Like when you're in that situation, to assess it. And then they need to be able to, but I know that when I was a teacher, I'd have a bad day. And it's the same with you when you were like doing support work. When you were doing that work, if you'd had, if you were extra tired or you hadn't looked after yourself that day, the whole day is more difficult, isn't it? Because you have to be, like you said, health checking everything you're saying and being aware because of the reaction of that individual. But then I was thinking, well, that's the same as with a toddler. I mean, obviously Jackson's not gone through any trauma, but you know what I mean? Having the ability to slow everything down to think, well, what tone am I using? How am I asking? Am I giving the right choices? How am I looking at him when I'm talking to him?
No, you're right. But, remove the word, but it's also important to accept that everybody is susceptible to making mistakes, and that it's not the making a mistake that ultimately is the issue, but how you rectify it, how you come back from it. When you talk about young people, raising your voice to a youngster, to a child, could in itself have create a traumatic situation.
Yeah.
But if that child has got a strong, solid caregiver, a primary caregiver that is caring and loving and can help the child get over that traumatic situation, just being shouted at, but next there is some loving arms and care,
an explanation as well,
understanding. Yeah. Then you're actually building resilience in the child, and ultimately that's what the individuals that we work with, adults who have gone through trauma, ultimately have not had. Interestingly, some of the statistics that we look at include some of the horrible phrase, but the revolving door clients not having next of kins registered, and that in itself is an indication that there wasn't an effective support network.
So what, some people don't have next of kin at all? What happens then?
Well, ultimately it's down to an individual, isn't it, who their next of kin is.
Oh, okay. So they can choose. Oh, I couldn't remember then from when I used to work with them what we did.
But if they don't have a next of kin recorded, if they're not, putting a next of kin forward, suggests that there isn't a support network.
Yeah.
But the statistics are undisputed with regard to homelessness and the prevalence of trauma. It ranges from 70 to 80% of the people that are engaged in homeless services have experienced one or more significant traumas through their life. And because homelessness is a traumatic event, 100% of the people that we work with have experienced one or more significant traumas.
Yeah.
And there's a higher prevalence of adverse childhood experiences in the homeless population as well.
So it's that kind of the reason, one of the biggest reasons why I wanted you to come and do an episode with me was because of how many conversations we've both had with people in our lives that sort of say, oh, you know, they're just conning it and they're just on benefits, and or they have such a negative view of someone who's facing homelessness. Now we both know, and actually I spoke to somebody last night when I was out, was said that they'd seen it. There are some people that beg for a living and they do have somewhere to live. So you see this all the time, but if you see a rough sleeper, don't give them money.
I mean, even better than that is, give to a charity.
Yeah,
give to a charity that's active in your area, that you can, that you're aware is doing the work that you want to support. That's the best thing.
Yeah.
If you are, and this might sound callous, but if you are giving food, money, or anything else for that matter to individuals that are on the street, you don't necessarily know the background, and there are some horrific stories of why people are in those situations.
Yeah.
Ranging from pressure that's being applied to them to, if you like, professionally beg, through to that they're there because they are trying to generate enough money to feed a habit, through to those that are legitimately rough sleeping. So, the bit of money that you give to somebody on the street could be enough for that person to then go and get their next fix, and that might be their last fix.
Yeah.
So yeah, for you to help, volunteer some time and go and work with a volunteer organisation.
We're really lucky. There's so many around here, isn't there?
Yeah, and they all function together well. They all work together well.
There's always soup kitchens and food parcels and stuff as well, isn't there? So there's an organisation that's in our area that provides a free meal every day, isn't it?
Well, I mean, it's not one organisation. There's many, but they've worked together and they cover different days. At one point it was probably a little bit more chaotic than that, but the pandemic has definitely brought services together. Voluntary services, commission services, statutory services. There's more partnership working and less silo working now than I've been aware of before.
Yeah, when you come home and you're like, I'm working with this person and this person, it's not like when we worked for other services, working with the council just didn't happen, did it?
No.
But I think it's really interesting, when you're looking at charities, is there a way, like, I know Homeless Link is a national charity. Would Homeless Link be a really good place to go to find where your local services are?
Yeah, definitely. Homeless Link do keep a bit of a register. It's probably unfair to say a bit of a register. They keep a register of charitable services, voluntary services in the homeless sector. You can't go wrong with good old Google searches. If you Google homeless services in your local area, there's a very good chance that you're going to be, have information straight away of what is around. And then it's just a case of making those phone calls. And social media is extremely powerful for the voluntary sector. So getting on social media and putting homelessness in X area is going to give you a lot of insight, and then just reaching out. But, do look to see where you as individuals can best influence those services to continuously develop as well. Take the expertise and the knowledge that you've got from your day jobs, from your lives, and help those services develop. Keep developing policies and procedures, and don't see them as just red tape. They're there to keep everybody safe, you and the service user.
So it's my birthday Saturday.
Yeah, I've got some more fridge magnets for you.
Have you? Oh, Saturday. So, Dan, so we've been together nearly 10 years, and our first Christmas together, obviously my birthday's a week before Christmas. So, and then Dan's mum's birthday's 2 weeks after Christmas or 3 weeks after Christmas. And your mum and dad's anniversary. It's like, and our sister-in-law has also got the same birthday as me, hasn't she? So our first Christmas together anyway, we were living together. We moved in together quite quick, didn't we? You just didn't want to let me go.
Get rid of you.
That's horrible.
What?
You didn't want to let me go.
Are you taking a door key?
You gave me a door key, and you gave me a tiny little toothbrush, and you gave me a drawer, and then we started living together, basically. Anyway, the end. And then so you got me for first Christmas some folk coasters you could put photos in.
Yeah, very personal.
A lunchbox.
A lunch bag.
That you didn't have to throw away.
It looked like a paper bag.
That looked like a paper bag. There was silver inside though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's practical.
Yeah. And then
fridge magnets.
Magnets and some Bob Marley coffee. Because our wedding song was Bob Marley, wasn't it? Oh, do you remember the orange woolen scarf you got me one year? That was all right.
I know I'm very, very bad.
You're not.
I am.
You're not very bad.
There's no joking. I'm a terrible gift buyer.
You're not. You're much better than you used to be.
I look at things and think, that'll do a good job. I don't think, oh, they're going to love that. I just think, I'll do them a good turn.
Oh, Scott, do a coaster.
Keep you warm.
So, as you are a guest on the podcast, thanks for coming on, by the way.
Oh, it's a pleasure.
We need to change the bed now. We need to finish our jobs for the day.
Got a journey home.
I feel a bit sad that we've spoken about such a serious thing because you're the funniest person I know. But you were being serious. You can't you can't joke about trauma. No. Definitely. Every guest I have on, I ask them the same question. I ask everybody, if you could tell yourself something 10 years ago that you know now that you wish you'd known then, what would it be?
I think it would probably be, don't worry about what people think.
Don't give a fluff what people think. I did a live about that this week.
Just get on with the things that you want to do.
Yeah.
Don't worry about what they think.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Oh, very good. Yeah, don't worry. Because actually, nobody's thinking about you.
No, very rarely.
Yeah.
Very rarely. And if they are spending an inordinate amount of time thinking about you, they've got a problem.
Yeah, with themselves.
Yeah.
Not you. Yeah. So are you excited about Christmas?
I am. Yeah.
You've got a bit of time off this Christmas. We both have it this year.
Off and Jackson's going to have a great time.
Yeah, we're taking him to see Father Christmas on Friday. Yeah, it's going to be good, isn't it? Yeah, you excited? You've got him loads of cars stuff. I caught him listening to it. Yeah. So your son has listened to more of the podcast than you have. So it's Christmas. This is the last episode until January the 13th, I think. Oh, I forgot. Somebody's left me a review. So this is the last episode before Christmas, and then I'll be back in January. I just want to give a little. I've got a review, babe. Got another one. From Josie McCarthy, who says, and listen, this is going to make you want to listen. Such a down-to-earth and inspiring podcast. Claire is a pleasure to listen to and so much fun. I love listening to her. What do you think about that? You listen to me every day. Do you? You don't actually listen to me.
Probably 60%.
Yeah, I agree. It's all right. We're best mates, so that's the main thing. So you can still get my training if there's an early bird discount code if you want to book a space, and it's all about warrior energy and vivid wire. Hopefully if I get it to 18,000 followers this weekend, there's going to be an 18% discount, and there's a giveaway to win £180 worth of vivid wire stuff. And normally I don't say all that stuff like that, but I'm just trying to list it off. It's a bit strange because normally I do that in the intro and I'm talking to myself, but you're right in front of me. All right, thanks.
Yeah, lovely.
Thanks. Can I say you, Jackson, earlier? I don't know about if anyone else's kids are like this, but Jackson was calling Dan, going, Dan, babe, downstairs. Dan, babe, Dan, babe. It's so funny. And then he was going, like laughing to himself. Dan, babe.
He loves the belly laugh, doesn't he?
Yeah. Oh, and on that note, thanks, babe.
Thanks, babe.
Thanks, babe. Thanks. Thanks. And should we sing We Wish You a Merry Christmas?
You can do
we wish you a vivid Christmas. We wish you a vivid Christmas. We wish you a vivid Christmas. And
Happy New Year.
Hey! Have a nice one, guys. Bye! Thank you so much for listening to the No Rest for the Willy podcast, written, produced and hosted by Claire Hill, and music has been composed by my brother, Phil Vidler.